Welcome to episode 19 of the Barnsey podcast. It's been a while. We just figured it out. It's January this year that we did our last episode. So
we've moved twice since then.
Yeah, a few other things have happened as well.
Yeah. We didn't talk about it in that podcast, did we? I know we didn't.
I don't think so. No. Ooh, secrecy. Before we get to that, let's welcome returning champion PeSauce. Thanks for coming back, Pete.
Hey.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, man.
And of course, Brewer, setting up the video component. As usual, it's a standard gripe. It takes forever setting this stuff up, and that's why it takes us a while to get another episode out, because time is really hard to come by these days. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I have no spare time left at all.
Yes, the same.
Mainly due to the fact that I now have a son, a newborn son by the name of Dylan, who's just turned 4 months on Thursday. So yeah, time is definitely drained. It's all good, but like it's just weird. Like looking back to only like 12 months ago, like I use Google Photos and it's got the automatic figuring out for the metadata of your photos when they were taken and where they were taken and all of that, and it puts together kind of like Facebook memories, but with the Google Photos it like it does these like collections of your own photos of like, remember this day 12 months ago, or remember this day 2 years ago. And yeah, it's weird. Like they come up for me now, and I'm like looking back at myself 12 months ago, and I'm like you have no idea how much spare time you have, man. Like, but it's really fun. But getting things like podcasts and music writing and shit done is a lot harder. It certainly taught me to be a lot more like have time management skills and trying to like utilize the time that you do get. So I'm finding that things that I might have had like a whole weekend to do, I might only have a few hours to do now. For example, if I was doing some stuff in the studio like writing or something, and I didn't really have any plans for the weekend, like, I could just be like quite leisurely at it and go and do it as I wanted, maybe stop and watch some Netflix or whatever. But now it's like I know if I've got some spare time to get into the studio, it's like maybe a 2-3 hour window. So you got to go in there and you got to like, all of the usual tricks that they tell you to time manage, of like turn off external distractions. So obviously the first thing you do when you boot up the studio computer is don't log on to Facebook. And I was really bad at that. But yeah, that's been good. It's not like I've got really good internet in the studio computer anyway, so it's just like you just boot up and you just get started at your work. But yeah, try to not have your phone with you. And I've got another story about that. I just recently lost my phone. I just got it back yesterday, after not having it for almost 2 weeks. Yeah. And man, it was frustrating in some respects, but overall pretty awesome. Like, not
what do you
find
the hardest part? I find, like, because I forget, I leave my phone. I don't use my phone that much. Like, not like Pete here, and like the hardest part for me is on the train. And I've got you're in a tunnel. And you just got to look at other people and think about shit.
Look, I'll say straight up that I've been using an iPad. An iPad with a 3G or 4G SIM in it. Right. That's got on-demand internet.
Especially at work when you just don't have a phone on you, and it's just like, and you can.
That's one of the hard moments is elevator rides. Yeah. You realise how many other people just like to not deal with like talking to people are straight in their phone. So if you're like the one person standing waiting for an elevator that doesn't have a phone, it's just like
you feel like a fucking weird cunt.
You look at the hairs on your arm.
Oh man! Oh, really? It's cool to just no way, really.
Yeah. But like, what did we do before we had a phone? Like, we would have we all just stared forward. I guess we did. fuck, you know.
Well, I obviously remember an era before mobile phones.
Of course, like, what did you used to do what did we used to do on the train? Like, when you by yourself on a train?
What did I used to do on a train? I remember they were the old trains that had, like, in between carriages, you'd open doors and they'd have the, like, almost like the gangway walk that was outside, and then we'd just go there and have ciggies. Like, we'd just smoke cigarettes in between those two carriages. Like, they were the days.
I only ever really like caught the train when I was an apprentice, and I had to catch a bus and a train, then another bus to get to work. You know, the bus, train, bus home.
Yeah.
And in the morning, it was like super early. I was like getting to the bus stop at 4:30, the 4:36 bus to the station, and but I like my
brutal.
Yeah, I had to go pretty far, and so that was like my really only time doing it. But I remember I just used to try and sleep a little bit. We used to kind of like just remember chilling out. You didn't really do anything on the train, and then I'd get there and I'd wait for the bus, get on the bus, and just sit there and just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I remember before having phones on trains, like smartphones, definitely investing in a few portable DVD player bits of action, like, you know, the little ones that would have flip-top LCD screen and a built-in...
Giving shit about people doing speakerphone on their phone.
Oh, with headphones? Like, I'm not just
You're going to pull out this brick of a thing.
No, some of them, towards... Right at that cusp of, like, where phones could kind of play video, but, like, just playing YouTube on them wasn't quite there yet.
Still Nokias.
Yeah, or even just the first... You don't remember just how clunky some of the early smartphones were. Like, the early, like, Nexus phone was really the first smartphone that could go to YouTube pretty easily, because it was, like, native, like, an app inside it natively. Before that, it was just you were going to the web version of YouTube on a mobile browser, and it was clunky as shit. Like, it was like, maybe one video would play, and then searching beyond that would be like, But right at that point, before it was just like stupid to buy a portable DVD player, they were pretty good. They were pretty slick. Like, they were small, about the size of a DVD. You know, they weren't that much bigger than a DVD, and the screens on them were pretty tang. And I think the companies that perfected that technology moved into, like, headrest, like, stuff. You know, these, like, AV systems you can get put into the seats of your cars for kids in the back seat and stuff.
Online.
That's right, that was one of your jobs, yeah. Selling that.
Pieces of shit, they always broke. Cheap Chinese shit.
But
yeah,
I'm sure you could get good ones.
The concept's
I'm
really
sure you
cool.
could, but like, think of how fast technology moves, and that's like getting, like, it's almost like getting an implant in your body, like, that's like some piece of technology that you're like, hopefully this doesn't become redundant. Is getting, like, you know, embedded stuff into a car seat. Like, it's not like...
No, you just get one that just, like, straps on or something.
You can get ones that strap on, but these ones, like, they had poles and stuff, and you had to get ones that matched different cars' pole fucking widths.
Oh, it's actually mounted to...
It was a fucking nightmare, and these Chinese ones. We'd do installations there on a Saturday, and we used to work 6 days, and the 6th day was the Saturday, and we were doing installations. This dude, a young dude, used to come in, and man, he used to cringe when we used to have to put in headrests. He's like, man, what's going to go fucking wrong today? Half of them didn't fucking... They'd spin the discs, and then they'd come back on Monday, and they'd be like, man, I worked for like a day, and then I went into fucking Kakadu and shit. And now it's all fucked. And it's like, man, what? It's just like, man, they're not meant to be taken into Kakadu. It's like, for soccer mums and stuff, maybe they'll work for a few months.
Is that the pitch when they sold them, though?
No,
that's
of course
shitty.
not.
How much are they worth?
No, of course not. That's why I don't work there anymore.
How much are they worth, those systems you're talking
They
about?
weren't cheap. This was a few years ago. Maybe a couple of $100 for the units, like 2 of them.
Wow.
And then another $100 for the installer to install them. And he used to have to cut through fucking upholstery and leather and fabric and stuff to get the poles and shit through. I'm like, man, you're fucking these cars.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. Anyway.
It's pretty hectic. Like, even, like, it's just the bane of older cars as well. Like, as being somebody that's never bought a brand new car, it's like, I've never had a car that's had everything work. And it's like this embedded shit, like, you know, aircon, or not so much aircon, like central locking, you know, and stuff like that, or...
And one of the windows doesn't go down or something.
All my windows go down, thankfully.
Probably not. Didn't you buy a new car recently? Like, there's shit, nothing doesn't come standard, man. Like, even like the GPSs and stuff, a lot of that stuff. It does these days.
I've bought a new car twice. I think I might have even spoken about it on the last thing, but I bought 2 new cars in the last, like, 2 years.
And how did they go with, like, the add-ons?
Top of the line Corolla, leaving ZR last year before last. You know, that's when I bought it. And I got a Golf, and I just got a comfort line in the middle of the range one. Oh. But I got like the GPS and all that for it.
But they were all options and stuff.
Well, that was just depends on what level of car you get. So the trend line, comfort line.
And this stuff comes standard in this
GTIs,
one. Right. When you got it, right, and you got this one with this level, did they then go, hey man, you might want to get this and this and this and this?
Yeah, well, obviously you've got heaps of options to, you know, you want to get these car mats, and because it doesn't come with car mats and
what kind of other options are there? Is there any like critical stuff for the car that's an option? Do you know what I mean?
So you've got like window tint. That's the thing that you don't think about though, man. Like if you get a brand new car, you haven't got tint. What the fuck? That would be pretty bad.
Why would that be bad?
Like no tint at all, and you've got like a brand new car.
Why is it bad though?
Because like tint is like a game changer in comfort and just like it definitely with privacy as well.
Yeah,
you can't so much see in the car, but you know it's really sunny. It's much nicer to drive around in. Yeah, and I think it looks a little bit nicer as well.
Yeah.
In the darker windows.
I just found it funny how you definitely wouldn't get it without any tinting.
No way. If I'm going to spend the money if I'm going to get a brand new car, as if I'm not going to spend that tiny percentage of what the total cost is to get tint.
Isn't that how they get?
I would no way I'd spend that much.
I remember a number of years ago, where they cracked down on the amount of tint Australian cars could have. And I think it was pushed by the police force. They were like, it's getting out of hand. And I remember back in the early 90s, a few mates that had like
limousine,
the VL Commodore.
They're all Commodores, fucking, and they're all black as shit. Yeah. You could barely see out of them from in the car, but you could not see shit in those cars. And like, it was full on. Like, I remember thinking, like, man, you could do anything. And some of those dudes that own those cars they'd be like in the middle of a drive-in or something, just blazing billies. No one knows. Like, you can't see in for shit. And then they cracked down on it, and it was like, I remember it was, I don't know if I was watching like fake news or whatever at the time, but it seemed like it was like quite light that they allowed it. And for a while, correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm just talking out my ass, for a while, all of the window tinting companies and car manufacturers towed the line and were like, you know, if people ask for it dark, they're like, no, it's illegal. And just over time, that kind of etched. No one is really getting prosecuted, and then it's one of those things. Well, legally, it's, you know, and you can picture like, you know, a car rep saying this to you. Look, legally, we can only really go to this tint, but you know, no one gets pulled over these days for going up to about here, you know. But that's the thing. It's like, for a while there, then the coppers were pulling cars over if they thought it looked too dark. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's worth a Google search, but I swear I remember seeing a news piece where they had some device that they'd then go up to the window and they'd do a quick test, and they'd be like, look, see, it's like, it's not legal, and then impound the car. Or at least give them a fucking non-roadworthy infraction notice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can't imagine a dealership like doing that because it's not in their best interest.
But
And
then
then
there's
they have to deal with it and pay for it again.
Did you go darkest on your tint since you're such a tint aficionado?
Yeah, I went the darkest possible.
Yeah.
Tint
And I'm
Yeah,
trying,
it's not that dark. If you have a look.
yeah, I'm trying to remember how dark it is, and it's not that dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I got something here. Since August,
It's not.
1st of August 1994, New South Wales law has required that newly tinted side and rear windows maintain a VLT of at least 35%.
A VLT, it's going to be transmission. It's going to be like ultraviolet light or something.
Transmission. Or something. At least 35%. So I'm guessing that's like the... how do you say it?
Opacity.
Opacity.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. When replacing window tinting which provides less than 35% VLT, i.e. tint applied prior to 1st of August 1994, the new window tinting must provide at least 35% VLT.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
But so I told you it was a number of years ago.
94.
I remember that. I remember when they cracked down on it, and yeah, they were pulling people over. And
Maybe since 94.
but in '94, what kind of technology were they testing the windows with that I'm remembering?
Get
Maybe
you,
they were
mate.
just holding their torch up and then their hand. Look,
It's a
mate,
bit dark
look.
there, bro.
Might be a bit dark there, mate. A bit loud. Is that illegal?
Yeah.
Oh, from
You
May.
know, I think like stuff like tint and things like that anyway is like, for me, a must. But I'm not going to go and get like every single option like for myself because like personally like I use my car to drive fucking like places really far away like I have been recently, job which I'll talk about, and like I don't want like the super big rims because when I had the Levin ZR, the Corolla, that had like, you know, super massive rims, and like as soon as you drive it somewhere outside the city or off a main nice road, like they start to scuff up on your wheels, and it's just like
Scuffing my rims.
but you know what I mean, like you pay this money and it's
Yeah.
just like you
Fully.
kind of just cringe a bit, you know.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
soon as you buy it new, it's, you know, it's
What about like...
Yeah,
they-
As soon as you
they-
roll
they-
it off the lot, you've taken a dive, haven't you? Like the privilege of you being the first owner.
yeah, but
That's
but like so that would depend on how important that privilege is to the person, because there's a lot of benefits with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there can be,
Yeah.
depending how you perceive it. Like for me, you know, I always had new cars because the companies I worked for, we just had new cars. So every car I had like 2 kilometers, 12 kilometers on the clock when I got it. But then, like when I started getting cars myself, I had like a car allowance, so I'd get like a new car. And yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know.
I don't know how people keep cars in good enough nick to actually sell them after they've used them. I just seen the trash cars, hey.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and this is the,
Like not just
the
externally,
perception.
internally. Internally.
So you've really got to look
the
after it,
interior.
man. You've still got to look after a car's internals, and but if you only really need to if it's new, because if it's not new and no one else has properly looked after it, they're pretty.
When you
rat
get
shit,
into a
in my
really
opinion,
nice,
after like 10
nice
years.
leathery
After
car,
10?
you feel
Yeah,
bad.
probably.
reckon.
Like, but like I keep mine like perfect. So like when I got rid of my Corolla after like a year and a half or a year or whatever.
How long ago do you reckon I got my Golf? It was when we were at Roselands. So when was that?
Oh man,
4 years ago?
At least 3 or 4 years
And
ago.
it's a 99.
Wasn't that when
So
we
how old
started
was it
the
when I bought it?
It's like 15 years.
That's pretty old, eh?
Yeah.
I think mechanically I lucked out. I think it's been... I did have to replace the clutch. So there's that. But...
Oh, so you said it was a 99? No, so it was a bit younger than that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just like... Internally...
That's
do
the
they
thing,
they just degrade? I don't know, just...
Yeah, they need
The
to be
seats get
maintained,
fucked.
man. Yeah, you need to get seat cover. Like, they need to be maintained. Like everything's wear and tear on it. On a car,
You need to get
everything.
seat covers. Okay, so...
Get a motorcycle and you don't have to worry about interior.
Yeah, but then with the motorcycle,
Your
yeah, but-
body's the interior. All of that
Kidding,
punishment
for
that the
fuck's
car's
sake,
taken
I wasn't
You're
going to
taking
say
it.
anything because I
in
knew.
over the years
Fuck off.
is your body.
Yeah, man, and I've had accidents on bikes, on dirt bikes and road
Yeah,
bikes.
I'm not.
and,
Yes,
nah,
I know,
fucking,
but still.
What brand
Fact
Sunnies are
remains.
they, Pete?
they're Shaka or something. I got them in Hawaii. And
Oh,
they're like
Hawaii?
They got like
Oh, what?
all interchangeable arms, so you get like bright yellow and a different coloured tint that pretty much look the same from this side, but on this side is like different colour. They're that's what they're like. Apparently, like surfy, sunnies, sharkers.
Yeah, right. Well, I respect that you didn't go like a fluoro side colour.
These are actually Connie's. Mine are transparent. The ones that I was wearing.
They're so bad. Connie's is way better, eh?
Really?
Oh, way better.
Yeah, I've got bright yellow ones too, which is probably better.
Full Corey party boy sunnies.
Yeah, man. That's what my old man says.
There's the frilly jacket.
The what?
The frilly jacket.
Yeah, remember that?
Oh,
Chicks love it, bro.
Man.
Chicks love it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And how you showed me that? I get that dude mixed up. Who's that other dude from Goonies?
What other dude for goodies? You got Corey Haim, and then you've got
the weird dude who does all the weird. Is that Corey? I thought that dude was Corey Preston. Corey Preston's the party boy. When you said party boy, I clicked. I'm like, oh, it's not that dude. Who's the weird guy who does all the weird band stuff on the Today shows and stuff?
Oh, Feldman.
That dude.
Yeah,
he's Goonies, right?
All right, yeah, we'll fucking see what's happening with him right now.
Yeah, man. I was like laughing at him, and then he's come out, and I've read some of the stuff. I'm like, feel really bad. I'm like, dude, man, sounds pretty.
Didn't
serious.
he just get pinged for drugs?
Something. He's a weird dude,
and then he's like, "This is what I said that do. This is Hollywood sending out their Illuminati arm to suppress me because I'm coming out and talking about." For people that don't know what we're talking about,
yeah,
it's basically he's come out and said that the whole. I'm trying to think where it started from. But basically, Weinstein was kind of what started it.
What started it? Yeah.
This whole Harvey Weinstein's one of the Weinstein brothers from the famous filmmakers, and he's basically getting taken out with all of these rape allegations and sexual misconduct and having a culture of like if you're a starlet that wants to make it, not just if you want to make it in his movies, like if you kind of like say no thanks mate, I'm not into this. He'll then blacklist you, like basically in Hollywood. And then I think off the back of that and all of the like rape allegations and stuff that are getting a lot of press.
And he kind of said like, well, hey, have a look at this as well. This happened too.
And he's been saying it for a while, but now because it's such a hotbed topic, he can get grab the headline with it.
That's what I mean. He's been saying it for a while, and I was kind of like laughing at him because he's such a weird dude, and he does some weird stuff now. And he's like Goonies guy, he's even weird back then in that movie, in my opinion. But
whoa, sorry about that.
But yeah, now and then some of the stuff that comes, something was proven or something, and he was proven right. I'd have to look at the details, but yeah. And it was like, oh man, maybe there's a shred of evidence to this, Oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be laughing at him. But yeah. But I get that dude mixed up with Party Boy.
Okay.
A lot.
Which Party Boy from Jackass?
No, the Corey Feldman dude.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well,
I get them mixed up and the names are very similar. But yeah, that was a talking point in the last week or so. I think it only happened in the last week. I'm like, oh jeez.
I think he was originally one of those people that got kind of lumped in with the whole Michael Jackson thing. I think he was one of the. Apparently, he was like a frequenter of Neverland when he was quite young. And he would always come out and defend. And he's like, actually, and whenever he would defend Michael Jackson, he'd be like, look, if you're really interested in finding, these sexual predators towards kids, he's like, just look at Hollywood, like it's rife. And the other person that came out about it was Ashton Kutcher. I think he did some big Senate hearing thing where he appeared in front of the American Senate and he just broke it down. And he was like, look, I've seen it firsthand.
Oh, wow.
It was fully on televised on CNN and shit as well.
Fucking hell, man. That whole scene seems so dodgy,
See if you can find footage, or I can find it here. I'm pretty sure it was CNN. Kutcher, CNN. stand it. I can't see shit. I can't see shit. I think I found it now.
Lee Syatt slits.
Looks like it's a long one.
But basically, yeah, you can see he's sitting there in front of the Senate and breaking it down. But, you know, I don't know, it's pretty full on. If it creates an atmosphere for people to be able to come out and, you know, reveal what's happened, that's good. But then there's always the danger of it creates an atmosphere for opportunists to take down some sort of, you know, tall poppies kind of thing. But it does look like the Weinstein thing's pretty messed up. And like, see, Tarantino came out and he was like, I'm pretty much as bad. I'm as much to blame because I never said anything.
And he financed a lot of his movies, I think.
Fully, yeah.
Like Pulp Fiction and ones that made him big.
Yeah, right.
Like back, and that's what made
it's that fucking
Weinstein,
the Weinstein
big
company, man. It's that W.
I think it was Miramax, man. So Miramax Films, he owned Miramax, and
really,
he was a big producer for Miramax, and then like Pulp Fiction and stuff like that. And he had the list of his movies is like an Oscar-winning movies.
Yeah,
absolutely insane. And that's when he branched off and made his own company and stuff.
Right,
but it was Miramax, and back in the day with Pulp Fiction, I think I keep seeing Pulp Fiction being brought up, and Quentin Tarantino was like what made them both, you know. And yeah, you look at the list of movies, and it's absolutely insane. It's every massive blockbuster that you can think of in the last, I don't know, when did Pulp Fiction come out? In the 90s?
Oh yeah,
definitely. And you think about all the actresses, probably actors too, that have gone through his fucking hotel room in that time. Jesus.
How's this? Okay, so if someone I know well, I won't name them on the podcast, but someone I know very well, a female that I know very well, is of the opinion, right, when this Weinstein stuff first came out, of like, I'm paraphrasing, this isn't a quote direct of what this person said, but it was like, oh, you know, I'm sure it wasn't just him, like, you know, get to it, Missy. You know, I'm sure there was a lot of like,
sure it was
opportunistic young actresses that wanted to be in the next Weinstein production.
For sure there was. Of course there was.
But by the sounds of it, he's like made it like an ultimatum, and like I was saying before, has actually blacklisted people that have like knocked back his advances. And there's one that was my response to that. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's there's the perfect world, and then there's reality. The reality is there's not a lot of fucking people in this world that will get the opportunity to be in one of his massive movies, and there are people that don't have the scruples to know maybe sucking some cock is the way to get the role. You know what I mean? Charlotte. So
camping, fishing, fun.
But yeah, it's another level if, you know, you're getting blacklisted, and if, you know, they know other people in the industry that can stop you having any opportunity. Like that's pretty messed up. Like,
if
it's all true, and it sounds like it is.
It sounds like it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Super fucked up.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Pete, you've been travelling a lot for work.
Bloody Perth.
Yeah, I got a new job. June, I think it was. June. And it's fixing scientific instruments, like lab instruments that test all kinds of grain and pretty much anything you can harvest or.
So the agricultural industry, the scientific part of testing agricultural product.
Yes, the actual instruments and machines that do the actual testing. Yeah, I like calibrate and fix like a lot of that stuff.
And obviously these are like science grade laboratories, but out in the middle of freaking nowhere, next to where they harvest.
Well, yeah. You consider it a lab because there's a bunch of machines in there. It's I've been out like fairly central New South Wales. I've been at places like called Hay. And if you look at where Hay is on the map of New South Wales, I believe in particular where I was actually a fair bit past Hay. But the address was like
what's that?
So many kilometres past like a truck stop. There was no real address.
Jesus, man.
Yeah,
Baby,
I was driving there in my little Volkswagen Golf, and it was actually closer to Adelaide than it was to Sydney, so it was right out there.
So how long was the drive again? Sorry,
allowance.
I think it was 9 hours.
Something
too bad. I was doing other jobs all through New South Wales on the way there.
Right.
So I was stopping off here, staying in this town, and going to another bunch of jobs the next day. And
how long was the whole round trip? Before
I just do them in like in 1 week, so like Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
So I'll take off Monday morning super early, like in the car at 6 o'clock driving, and just start driving to the first job. Normally about 6 hours out of Sydney, and then start the day's work kind of thing, or until everyone leaves, which is normally about 5:30, and then do that.
So imagine that like it was fully like the norm for people to have personal helicopters. Like, how much better would that be for you? Just jump in the chopper.
No, that'd be way too expensive because what I'm doing is not worth that much. Like the actual labour that you charge out for this is quite expensive, but it'd be much more expensive if you're talking about adding chopper fees into it.
But like your company, right, doesn't manufacture these instruments.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So we
manufacture those
in Sydney. Yeah, so we actually
right. So you're actually the manufacturer and servicer of these.
Yes, but we've also there's
equipment.
been like company mergers and that along the way. So there's not just the machines that we manufacture. There's other machines that have been manufactured overseas and stuff like that.
And you have to know how to service all of them.
Yeah.
And you're driving out to the Miller whoop whoop. What are the customers like when you get out there? Are they
so this is it gets. Look, everyone's super nice.
I'm sure they are.
It's all business because normally it's like there's someone that's a farmer, or it's a guy that's just running like a grain receival place. So they just got like guys there working and big tractors, and they got normally a big weigh bridge where a truck will come up and they'll weigh grain and weigh truck on the way in and the way out and whatever, and determine how much.
So are they anxious for you to get there? Is it like an emergency type thing? Oh, we need you to get here so we can do our business type thing?
It can be, yeah. So I actually had to it's easy to do, but I actually had to get national verification, through the NMI, the National Measurements Institute, so I can actually verify machines. So I have special reference samples of all different kinds of product that I run through these machines to kind of calibrate them in the simplest way.
All of these country dudes, you're fucking way on this city can't come out and fucking
I've got my little golf and my girly little earrings and
man, I bet you they're the nicest people. And is there anybody around? There wouldn't be. You wouldn't have to worry about traffic.
There's generally nothing around because you're going down roads where you don't see a car for quite a while. And,
man, do you know where you're going? Do you get lost? I'd get lost, man.
No, you got GPS.
I get lost around Sydney.
You got GPS.
I'm on a motorcycle. Jesus. I have to stop to look at I'd be stopping every 2 seconds. It takes you 9 hours. It'd probably take me 9 days.
9 hours in a bike would be fucking brutal, man. You'd be so sore and just messed up.
That would be.
Man, that's full on, man. And now you're going Perth.
Yeah, and I've been flying to Perth. As well, I've gone to Perth I think 5 times now in the last just few weeks.
Jesus.
And then I've got to go to Queensland week after next.
Bloody Queensland.
And then
do you like Perth? Is Perth nice?
Yeah, Perth's pretty cool. Perth's
how do you compare it to Sydney?
It's quite a different vibe. And I normally stay on the south side because that's where the clients are, where I go. They're pretty big players in the
agricultural industry.
Yeah, I suppose you'd say. So that's all generally on the south side. So that's normally where I am.
Yeah. Right.
But even just on the south side, overlooking the city, it's all parklands and I think it's a footy field and whatever. But it's all green, and you look over the river, and there's all trees, and then behind it's just this big cityscape. So it was like quite nice.
Can you see the cricket ground?
You can see the lights from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it big?
Yeah, it looks pretty big.
Yeah.
Have you seen the one in Queensland?
Which one, the Gabba?
Yeah, I think it is.
The cricket ground or the...
Oh, actually, now I don't know which one I'm talking about.
The MCG is massive, man. I did a tour
It's
of the
like,
MCG
It's
once.
like hanging over the road, like when you drive under it, it's in the city, and it's like big grandstands, like right over the road when you drive under it.
Where's this at?
In Queensland.
In Brisbane or?
Yeah, in Brisbane.
Yeah.
I don't know
It
what
might be
stadium.
Suncourt Stadium. It's the
Yeah.
Suncourt Stadium, is it?
I don't.
I've been to Suncourt Stadium as well.
I shouldn't have said anything because I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, that's full on, man. That's,
Yeah,
that's
guys
a
drive
lot of
everywhere. I
travel.
don't fucking know, man.
Yeah, man, that's some serious mileage.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So then we go to Perth, and I just got back the other night at 11:30. Had to go to work the next morning.
Oof.
Dude.
And you just doing a full day's work, and then you get on a plane and waiting around, and
Yeah.
Are your bosses and stuff cool, though? Like,
yeah, everyone, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. It's a nice place, and I've learnt a lot. I've got a lot to learn still, but yeah, it's the nerdiest
Sounds
job
fucking
I've had. It's
interesting
nerdy
as,
as
man.
fuck, man. That's all like computers and like measuring things to like 4 decimal places and
Yeah, that's crazy.
like.
And I'm intrigued about how you said that you had to get like verified with the national standards of measurement or whatever,
Yeah,
and you've got to have sample, like control samples, I guess.
yeah, to calibrate it. So
Yeah.
all the machines.
So when
That'd be
you
using
you
for
got to
trade
take these
calibrated
with you when you go out.
Yeah, I've got to take this big black case, and I've got the different
Oh, full on.
sample arrangements in there.
No way.
Yeah.
And they're like,
And you-
certified. Like that's the standard.
Yeah, and after you open them, like, they're not good for very long, and they're expensive too. So you open them just before like the second you need them,
Yeah.
and close them up straight away, and keep them all out of direct sunlight, and to really look after them.
So imagine like your plane crashes but you manage to survive, and like you find that bit of luggage. That's all you got. You're like in the middle of the bush, and like it's just like eating these like samples of maize.
And yeah,
are they
Pretty
even
much.
real?
sorry.
Are they even real, or is it just like a weight to represent?
No, it's real. It's like
Pure.
it's just super measured. It's highly accurate, and
Yeah.
they're measured. It's not worth getting into unless.
Yeah, I'm sure
But
it's fully
there's
scientific.
heaps of
yeah.
values that they can assign to different levels of quality, like protein
Some of the
and
pictures-
moisture and stuff like that, to regulate quality of.
And some of the pictures you send of like some of those machines on their side, and you've like just plugged into them.
Yeah,
Like, is it like firmware updates that you're doing? Is it like a software based? Because it sounds
So
like a real
what-
hardware based thing, and like
it's both. So you have to do, like,
actuators and
so you have to do like a hardware service, and depending on the machine, it's going to have like electric solenoids. It's going to have a computer. It's going to have, generally speaking, or a lot of the time, a load cell to measure weight, but like a high precision load cell. Have some sort of spectrometer, so something that like essentially it just points a light that has a specific fingerprint that a sensor can read.
it's trying
and
to
when
find
you-
that
and when you-
mineral or
when you-
whatever.
Sorry.
That mineral, or it's looking for that particular spectrum of something.
Yeah, well, essentially how it works is they can just what we do is we calibrate these machines. It just takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That when it knows that if you have a certain grain in there, and the machine knows what you're measuring, or whatever that you want to put through the machine, it'll know like a certain fingerprint, and it's calibrated to like a universal standard fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just using it as like a general term.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you can calculate. It knows that you've got the light, it shines through the product, and then you've got like a detector, I suppose, and then that will read the characteristic. So at these particular frequencies in the light spectrum, which is non-visible light, it's all above visible light spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's certain peaks. So at this particular frequency, we get a peak here. At this particular moisture or whatever value.
Yeah, right.
So it's all like
That's
super
pretty full
nerdy.
on.
So if I go to calibrate something, it has to be on for like a long time before I get there, so it's warm.
Yeah.
Because if it's cold and when it's hot, the characteristic can change.
All right. So just to get a big conspiracy tinfoil hat on you for a moment.
Ugh.
Okay, so why do things have to be so controlled to that degree. You're talking about things that we're eating, right? The food supply, pretty much, yeah?
That's why.
So why and how do they manage to get their tolerances so tight on such massive agricultural yields? And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, people. You hear it here first. We're through the looking glass here, people. It's because big ag is a real thing. Big agriculture and these seed companies. Now, it's all cool to say Monsanto, but that's more of a US-based thing. In Australia, I think it's actually Bayer.
Isn't it like
I think Bayer is one of the big players here, right? And they are the only ones that genetically modify and control their seed product so well that unless you buy their seed, then you're not going to pass your tests
to sell to them.
But that's the whole monopoly they hold, you know.
Well, but that's just a standard that they want. So they probably want like a particular characteristic of crop, whatever it is that they're buying, right? So they'll just have like a characteristic. We want these characteristics.
But isn't
if
this?
We can produce this, we'll buy it because that's what we want. That's what we need for our product.
But isn't this part of the problem that they're saying with our modern food supply is that we're so set on having just the same replicatable product on our shelves that's just like a standard that we can rely on. And if humans were a little bit more tolerant to a bit more deviation, a lot of wastage, a lot of like genetically modified stuff, it wouldn't actually be needed because it's this weird, like almost like cosmetic. I don't believe any of this. This is just some of the stuff that you hear, you know, like some of the weird conspiracies you hear about, you know, people that control the food supply actually control the world and all of this kind of stuff.
I suppose you could draw that, you know. I know, like, you're not championing this, but like in my opinion, you can draw these conclusions and connect dots and whatever the fuck.
Man, you can watch InfoWars,
yeah, whatever. But like, I think, you know, from my experience, it's just like any industry, it's regulated. If you get a mechanic, they have to have,
of course,
a mechanical license.
And when you're talking about the spectrums and stuff,
and he can't go and fix trucks, and like he's probably got like a diesel mechanics thing, or I don't know how exactly that works.
That's
right.
For
him to be able to service trucks for Kia or
that's right,
or you know, is Isuzu or whatever, or Toyota, right?
Yeah.
He has to have that license, so it'll be the same as that. Do you know what I mean? It's just like there's a requirement.
Look, I don't think there's anything in it, but what would be interesting, what would be a bit of an X-Files moment, is if the company that's paying your salary gets their money from selling seed to those people that are then using their machines to test the quality of it.
No, so
you know what I mean?
So this is the thing: we buy our samples. We can buy our samples from anywhere, but they have to be with calibrated high machines that are generally from one of the big players in the market, and the company that I work for is one of those big players.
Do you know who issues your license for that test? Do you know what is it, like a government department that issues you your license to?
It's NMI, the National Measurements Institute,
which is a government entity.
Fuck yeah. So but like it's you need it like that because then some dickhead can go out and like there'll be a farmer, right, and he'll have this machine that's not calibrated to the right standard. He'll be thinking, oh fuck yeah, I've got like really good crop or really bad crop or whatever the case might be, and make a wrong decision. And do you know what I mean? And he might buy something for too much or not enough, or sell something for not enough, whatever the case might be, because his machine's not calibrated. So then that guy that just buys it, let's just say that he thinks it's good crop because he doesn't have the machine with him or whatever. He thinks it's good crop, so he goes to sell it, and they test it there, and they're like, "Oh, hang on, man, this grain that you've just like sold us is
not what you told us what it was." It's different to what
I thought it was. And he goes, "Whoa, hang on, man." You know, do you know what I mean? So it kind of really has to be tightly regulated, otherwise it just wouldn't work. It has to be a standard, and it has to be all. So it's just like a glue. I personally can't see. There might be, you know, some conspiracy thing on some other level.
I can hear this dude that used the non-calibrated machine going, "Well, what do you actually consider non-standard? Like, what? My grain is dog shit? I think you said? What does dog shit really mean?
Why is he American?
Like, it's a little bit more chewy when you make bread with it. Just a little bit more chewy is dog shit to you? And it's only those goddamn seed sellers that have that genetically modified fucking Illuminati seed.
It was that bloody gang.
If I put that in my soil, all of a sudden my proprietary rights to my own crops are now owned by a fucking third-party corporation. I've seen it happen to my neighbors. One of them put a fucking shotgun to his mouth. You think I'm going to do that? You think I'm going to stand here?
So that this like a lot of these places I go to, and this one in particular, they've got like 2 airfields next to where their crops are, because their crops are over such an expensive place just for crop dusting and like fertilizing and whatever else. So they're really, really massive operations, like pretty big joints. Super big.
Sure, man.
But they've got like big
out
way
there.
bridges.
What kind of money are you talking though? If you're and like, okay, what that place that you're talking about with the airfields, because they've got so much bloody acreage, right? What are they growing?
They could be growing wheat, barley, canola, sorghum, corn.
Corn I'm familiar with, but the other plants that you mentioned.
So wheat is how you get flour to make.
I know
bread,
what they make,
biscuit.
but I have no idea what kind of turnaround time it takes to make a crop and then start again and then sell your next crop.
So you there's harvest time once a year.
It's only once a
12
year.
months.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it's seasonal. At the moment, it's not the best season, and
that's weird when you think about it, right? Okay, I wonder how much bread just that farm makes. It'd be a fuckload of bread,
Yeah, but
wouldn't
it's
it?
not enough for 12 months.
So
We don't
how are we
make
able to
enough
get
wheat.
bread all the time?
Because we import wheat when we run out. When
No,
our
dude,
season runs out.
no.
Or do we stockpile?
We
have
export.
too much wheat. Is that what we say? We can't use all of our wheat because we make so much fucking wheat.
No, we
Is that what you
export.
mean?
So we export wheat because we have high quality wheat, and we can be consistent. Typically speaking, so we can make like really good noodles, which is really good for the Asian market.
So we've got a high demand for our wheat because we've got such stringent.
We've got Australia's
right.
got good
It's
resources
like that
and good.
fucking insane fucking baby formula craze that's still going on.
Is that still? I never really knew much about that.
Still going on, man. I still see
man.
empty shelves and like they've put up notes going, we only restock this between these hours and these days. Limit to 4 per customer or some shit. It's crazy, man. They just like buy it up and ship it back or sell it on eBay for like heaps. It's crazy.
Well, the whole dairy industry is getting caught up at the moment. It's like
A friend of ours, a fucking, I don't believe in front doors.
right.
Gave us a present, a tin of baby formula, and we don't feed baby formula. Should I put it online?
Oh Jesus, it's probably out of date.
It goes out of date.
Start a diplomatic dispute.
Or just doing a poo and like. The 7 is now a 9.
Oh Jesus. 10 bobs.
So yeah, what we were talking about, how do we have bread all the time? If we only harvest wheat once a year. That blows my mind, really. Like,
So there's
obviously we can
harvest.
stockpile it.
And we do. So the places where I go, they've got silos, right? Oh man,
Silos are like kind of like look like rockets.
Yeah, they kind of look like rockets, and they're actually full of grain.
Grain silos.
Yeah, and at the bottom, it comes down like a funnel, and they can just like conveyor it out and put it back on trucks or whatever.
How do they get it in the tire? Like
there's this massive big conveyor system that goes over all the silos, and it's all like machines that are up there, and we put this grain in that silo, and all the gates shut and open and point it all into.
See, side note, that's part of when people say like even like eating bread, you're like burning oil. Like look at the amount of like energy it takes just to like get the just to harvest and put it in the silo. Like there's bulk energy burnt, right?
It is, but if you consider how many people will feed off that, that's pretty fucking amazing at the same time.
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying don't do
yeah.
it. But it's just part of that weird feeling that you get when you realise when you're being told that we're like fucking just burning energy like nobody's business, and that there's a finite amount of it. It's not just you pressing down your foot on the accelerator of your car that they're talking about.
Turning on the light switch.
It's just so interwoven into everything.
It's everything.
You know, it's fully crazy. But I still don't know how. If it's, I didn't realise that things like wheat, all of those crops that you mentioned, annual harvest crops.
Typically,
they're seasonal crops, at least.
They're seasonal.
Yeah.
So, like, you can only... It's only going to grow in spring, and then you hopefully have a good summer or something.
So if it's not a good season, so because it didn't rain heaps towards the late part of this growing season, a lot of my machines that I do like would test like damage to, the grain because of excess moisture or whatever from too much rain, and so because there wasn't much rain, like a lot of those machines weren't really being used. So like, no one's really using them at that particular time. So it affects like the companies that make those machines and service those machines, and then it also farmers, like if they have like a bad crop, they have like close down or like merge with other companies or try and be bought out.
Cutthroat, man.
Yeah, because if you have like a bad season and you've got like 3 trucks and 3 truck drivers. And if each truck driver owns his own truck, that'd be like pretty fucking expensive for that truck and for him to maintain that. And then to be able to pay him, and like just even that alone for like a company, like there's not a lot of like tiny players because you just can't maintain it.
Yeah, fully.
You just can't have like one farmer. Like
the point I was getting to though was like, I actually thought it would be more times you would harvest per year, but like how much money would a sized farm that you're talking about with the airstrip that they've got so much fucking space to cover, what would that annual harvest of wheat be worth to you probably don't know the exact numbers.
It depends on the market at the time.
But like just ballpark, like are we talking
I don't know.
hundreds of thousands, millions?
No, it'd be millions. It depends on how big your harvest is. Depends on how, but it'd be millions. It would be like a big operation like that, and you get a massive harvest, and you have to put it into fucking silos because you got so fucking much. And it's going to be
it's all got to go into silos so it can be transported and be useful. If there's no silo or no way to capture it and hold it, can't get into a truck. Like, you know what I mean? So a silo is just a means to hold, really. And so
I reckon
some of these
it'd be
places
a shitload of money, but it'd cost a shitload of money to run, and
a lot of them now as well. Like, there's just like essentially a big demandable building up on stilts, right? And it's just a few big demandable buildings, all air conditioned, and there's like all lab instruments in there. So when like the grain come up, they can test the quality and they can put it in whatever grade of quality it is or whatever characteristic of grain it is. And these particular bays where they can put the grain is. You can fit like a few semi-trailers down each one at once, and then it goes down pretty fast. So when it's good season, like these are full, and there's like 20, 30, like they're massive. So you've got like we can transport like a whole lot of grain for sure from like a whole bunch of farmers, but like one particular farm. I don't know if it'd be like millions.
I honestly wouldn't.
It could be.
But in terms of the profit that they make, yes, they'd have to make a living. But I don't think it'd be massive. And it'd be so stressful because like you'd have a good year and you'd probably make some decent money. And then the next year you got drought or for years and then you make nothing. And you've got to rely on that good year to get you through. And it's all up to Mother Nature and luck. It'd be so stressful. But it'd be cool.
Yeah, I reckon the profit margin must be pretty good for good years, because then you get these farmers that like stick it out for like a number of years through drought, and it's like we're hurting, but like you wouldn't stick that out and go deeper into debt with banks and stuff unless there was like a chance of good years coming
at the end of the tunnel.
And you'd think that those good years would reset those bad ones at the very minimum.
So, but if you've got like a farm and you got to sell off land and assets, who the fuck wants to buy an 8-year-old tractor that's probably beat up because it's been outside? Or, you know what I mean? You're gonna have all these assets that are probably going to be worth
during drought times where there's a demand for that shit.
And so no one wants this shit. So you could even just sell up his life. How the fuck would you even sell up?
Yeah.
So what? How would you sell it?
Fully.
If you did sell it, it'd be you for nothing.
Yeah.
Probably. So it'd be tricky.
And that's where our food comes from. You know, without those people,
it's
we wouldn't have
important,
fucking
man.
food.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, that's crazy. But what you know what I found really interesting is a big hot topic at the moment is that the marriage equality
Plebiscite.
and the plebiscite, obviously, and it's weird that I live in the inner west of Sydney, and it's quite open to that to that kind of vibe, that alternative vibe. So that the older generation above me would say.
Yeah.
And I think, especially myself and my wife, I think we live in this bubble where we think that majority of people are going to vote yes to marriage equality, so same-sex couples can marry, have the same marriage rights, as a traditional couple. And I think we live in these bubbles because I would vote yes for marriage equality, and I'm not a religious person. And I think that's where a lot of the friction would likely come from a lot of the time. In my experience of seeing people who do oppose it in my real life. There's not many, only a very small handful of people. But I live in the inner west, right? So there's a lot of people when you get out of the cities that are kind of living a bit more separated from the main cities. And it's been my experience that a lot of them aren't so tolerant in marriage equality, and even multiculturalism. They've got issues with that. I've sensed a lot, while everyone's been nice and there's been no issues, I've sensed racist remarks that just in passing and weren't being brutal towards anyone, but just referring to indigenous people in bad ways, and homosexuals in bad ways, just in passing, it's no big thing, where the kind of way that's not super shocking when you've been out there and I've been exposed to it for a bit. But when you're in the city, if someone said that and you're out, you'd just be like, "Whoa, dude! Don't say that here. Don't say that here, man. You got to be respectful. You can't do that. You're pretty much going against society at the moment.
Yeah.
When you get out there, look. I think that people think the marriage equality thing's in the bag, and I hope it is, but it makes me doubt it when I travel to so many different places all through the country in the middle of fucking nowhere. And
well, I've got a couple of theories on it, right? So when I first, because originally this was going to be just done by the Labor government, they were just going to pass it, and then they were
going to call a vote at least in the Parliament.
For some reason, I seem to think that then the Liberal government took their winning and beating Labor in the federal election as a sign that was part of Australia voting no on marriage equality, because it was one of the pillars of Labor's campaign, and because Labor didn't win, therefore Australia has said no.
They wanted to do the plebiscite, and this isn't a plebiscite, this is a postal survey.
What's the difference?
And the plebiscite would have been something that everybody, I think it would have been compulsory, and it would have binded the government in some way, in law, to actually do something, right?
Right.
It's kind of like a...
Whereas a postal survey is not compulsory.
It's not. It's just a survey.
And the results of it don't have to be an automatic changing of something.
That's right. So we could.
But didn't the High Court recently say no? This will be a binding decision.
I'm not too sure. I haven't seen.
I think they did, but I could be wrong. But I think that something recently said
they went through all of this and this is what they're coming at us with, and then they get the results and they go, "Oh, we're not doing anything because we don't like it."
Yeah,
it's not.
So here's some of the points that I've heard against postal survey or plebiscite. Postal survey is that it's a colossal waste of money. And when you look at the amount of money that it's going to cost, just as a figure, it is a pretty big number. I can't remember. It's 100 and something million, right?
It's not cheap, but yeah, comparatively.
But then when you actually break it down to the amount of people that are eligible to vote on that, it breaks down to a few bucks per question asked. So one of my questions are to people that are like, "Oh, it's expensive and stuff." I'm like, "Isn't that not too bad a value Like, and I'm all for, like we've said on the podcast before, I'm all for like some kind of electronic voting system. Like, fuck this whole archaic, even thing with normal elections where I've got to go to my public school and line up and get ticked off a register. Like, we've got the technology to do this, and not just. And I'm going off on the usual rant that I've done on the podcast before, but like, I don't need people that are elected as my representative. I can represent myself. Yes, it would take a lot more voting. It would take a lot more paying attention to shit. But yeah, that's my opinion. Anyway, I don't think a few bucks a person for a postal vote, and I know it's not a postal vote, a postal survey. Like, isn't that like kind of exercising democracy? Don't you need to exercise democracy now and then? Isn't that the whole point? Like, isn't democracy kind of redundant if all it is electing representatives to then assume your opinion on something? This is a direct question. You know, this is a direct question, yes or no. Like, isn't that exercising democracy? I'm not saying that, you know, it's a good thing. And then when I come back with that, then people have explained this to me as to why a postal vote is a bad thing. And this time comes back to what you're saying, Peter, about travelling around country Australia and getting out of that bubble that does exist in the cities of like
just tolerance and just,
which is cool, but it doesn't echo out as far as we think. It's not a national feeling, you know.
And if you want a true democracy,
but at the same time, it's important to say that not everybody that lives outside of the city thinks this way. That's not a blanket statement. A lot do, and there's a lot more pressure, as you say. It's a lot more open. This open racism, this open what's the word? Were you paranoid of homosexuality? What's that? Homophobia. Thank you. That's a lot more open outside of the cities, and that would make the people that actually probably don't think that way harder to either voice or maybe go along with the chorus of fucking what's going on, you know. I think that happens a bit outside of the cities as well. And if you noticed it, I've noticed it with some like really rough Aussie like Uber drivers, and like, you know, sometimes they like feel you out if you're down with the casual racism, and they'll just drop one or two comments and see how if you laugh or if you like, you know, back away. You know, have you noticed that?
I've never had that exact scenario, but I know what you mean.
You know, they're just testing you out, and if you're like, yeah, these bloody coons, then he's like, oh yeah, mate, tell me about it, like fucking, it's like, like, whoa. Like, I find that at festivals, whenever I go to music festivals, you always find that kind of person.
Some dude looks at you and you're like, nah.
And they look at you, and then they look around and they're looking back at you and they raise their eyebrows as if that's some kind of code of like, oh, look at all of these whatevers. It's like, fuck off, man. I'm not in with your fucking bullshit. But that's kind of stuff's more open outside of the cities, right? And one of the arguments has been made to me of why these postal surveys aren't good is because the right side of politics, the people that want this to be a no vote, know that the numbers are probably stronger, especially when it's this anonymous, just bit of paper that comes to your house. Like, you're not even having to go out and vote. And I didn't even think about that. Like, and some would say, no, that's better. You know, you're not influenced. The real fucking opinion will come through. But that whole, like, you know, it comes into your house, right? And what if you've got a fucking racist dad, right? It's like, you know, so did you vote yet? You get yours? You didn't vote yes, did you? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm inventing scenarios.
You're not wrong.
But it's been argued to me that the right knows that the numbers are probably going to sway their way by doing this anonymous postal survey thing, which is worrying. And you've seen the pointy end of that stick, I think.
And not in a super malicious way, as if they were, you know, like really nasty, you know, like.
No, it's not that at all. It
was the actual undertones and the acceptance level. It was like the thing. How I'm trying to look at it is, let's just say that you brought someone back from the 1600s and you brought them to today and age, you know, this day and age, and in a time machine like Bill and Ted or some shit, right? This phone booth, whatever. And then you brought them here, and the way they behaved, like about freaking out about how women dressed or about cars and electricity.
I was about to say
everything.
the first thing would be the way women dress, like take him into the CBD
and
on a hot day
right,
during the summer, and they'd just be like,
but with their behaviour, what would happen next? You couldn't really blame them, right? Because from that day and age, it was just a completely different time. You can't really blame them too much for just being like
moving away from the city though isn't a travel back in time.
No, I'm not saying it is, but all I'm saying is that's kind of how I'm trying to look at it, because there's still nice people.
Oh, for sure,
and everything like that, and I'm so I'm not going to blanket everyone like that, because I'm sure a lot of them aren't, and not everyone I met was openly anyway. But like,
but you do definitely get a tone that
totally do. Yeah,
it's going to be probably, if you were asking that community this question, it's probably going to come in to know, and there's probably more pockets of that than there are pockets of inner west lefties when it comes down to the numbers. The other factor of it is that, like, it seems like when you've got sort of like a yes/no, a binary system, a two-party, preferred voting system, the older I get, the more I realise it just switches between, we try this for a while, oh no, the shit, we go over here, oh no, the shit, we flick, and I think Trump is a result, obviously, of being one way with Obama for a while, and then the people getting sick of that sort of, and this is a generalisation, but basically, okay, we're going to switch over this way, and Trump actually jacked the Republican Party, as we know, to be the guy that it would switch to, right? And then the same thing kind of happened with the Brexit vote in the UK. Like, I feel like the Trump vote the Brexit vote, and a couple of other, like, sort of voting situations that the media before they happened were like, oh no, it's fine. Like everyone was like, no, Trump's not going to get it in the media. Until the night that they started counting those votes. Yeah. And then the media was like, oh shit, President Trump. Up until then, all of them were like, it's been an interesting, but right? Same with Brexit. All of the media was like, the UK will be ridiculous to fucking vote for Brexit. Yeah. It's not going to happen, don't worry. Yeah. They voted it. Yeah. And it's almost like when the media's like, this is a sure thing, that almost brings more weight to the no vote. You know what I mean? And I can't help but think that there's a factor of that happening with the campaigning of the yes vote in Australia with the marriage equality. And some of these no ads are fucked. Don't get me wrong. Have you seen some of these no TV ads? They're fucked. They're terrible. But at the same time, I have seen a few cases where, like, there's this actual ad, and I wish I knew who funded it, if it's a private company, because there's this Vote Yes Institute, right? And they managed to fucking send a text to every registered voter. Did you read about this? So I think where that part of the podcast got up to, the audio got up to us saying, I think that there's actually a Yes Vote Institute, and that they did the text thing, and you guys got the text where it's like, post your yes vote today.
Oh yeah. Yes,
and then there's posters up in the city saying, make sure you post your yes, which I just find that might fuck with a few people.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, it'll be predominantly religious people, or people with their families religious, for like heavy family influence or pressures to vote a certain way because of religion. I think that'll be the main contributing factor for
the two obvious questions are: what happens if the yes vote comes in? What happens if the no vote comes in? And I've got a couple of predictions. I think if the actual vote comes in no, oh my god, social media is going to weep. Oh my god.
I think it'll go through.
It's going to be bad.
I think it'll go through though.
I think the yes vote.
Yeah, I think it'll go through, but I don't think it'll be like a landslide. But I think it'll go through, and so it should go through.
See all these Skyriders?
Yeah,
no Skyriders. There's been like fucking 4 or 5 of them around.
Like, I've heard that people, might have been a bit upset by that. They, might have been, championing, because of their personal situation, gay rights, and being upset by the Skyriders, and it's fair enough. But for people that have their own personal religious beliefs, and I'm not religious, no, in my opinion, to be truthful, I think religion is ultimately probably not the healthiest thing anyway.
Yeah.
Like all that aside, I think like it's just like it's just the biggest contributing factor. And I think that at what point I've kind of like we've gone topic aside, like at what point does it become too much where it's like, you know, we are just like a Catholic based country, you know, and we've got like these, that's a pretty hefty religious, essentially that's what it is, like religious rule. That's what I interpret it as anyway. You know, not allowing same-sex couples.
Yeah, it's...
and like that's a pretty heavy blanket thing to happen, you know, for, in my opinion, a predominantly religious reason, and that's pretty gnarly. That's pretty heavy-handed.
It certainly doesn't feel like something that Australia would do.
Yeah,
and it's surprising that we're one of the last countries that have actually got this figured out. Like, that's what spun me out, was when, you know, some of the campaigns were pointing out, like, look at fucking how many other countries have fully institutionalized legal same-sex marriage. It's just not a thing that other countries, some countries that you think would be like quite anti it, are like, you know, no, it's we have that, you know. And I would have thought Australia would have it by now. And it's weird that it's such a rigmarole. And I guess that's one of the other points of against the plebiscite or against the postal survey is that this should maybe be one of those things that a representative elected leader has the balls to actually get done. Because if you actually get down to it, there are some things that you need a politician to just get done, because once they're done, everyone's like, oh, what were we so fussed about? But if it actually comes down to a let's count the heads on this very subject, then maybe the numbers will be no. But is that actually the right forward-thinking thing to do just because the numbers went that way? Or does it take a politician or a party to have the fucking cojones to fucking actually go, look, this is the right thing to do, and we're going to do it, you know, and we're going to live by these decisions on our next election? And that's what feels like it's a little bit of a fucking
do.
Huh?
They kind of, I guess. Yeah,
it feels like a bit of a weak moment from Turnbull, because wasn't this guy meant to be what the actual lefties wanted if the Liberals were going to get back in? I had many people going to me, especially in the era of fucking Abbott. It's like, why don't they fucking elect Turnbull, man? He's so much fucking smarter. He's actually much more of a centrist than any of the fucking, you know, and that was the other thing that was sold to me about Turnbull, was that he actually knows tech, you know, and finance. Apparently he worked for, what's one of the big fucking...
Yeah, he's founded OneTel.
Yeah, but no, he worked for one of the big fucking financial companies that was involved with the GFC, Freddie Mac or some shit.
Oh, right.
Or one of them. Anyway, but yeah, like, I wasn't Turnbull meant to be one of the guys that would just fucking step up and fucking get this done? Like, and it feels like he's going, I'll Postal survey it, and then we'll let people talk. And it feels like they've done it at a time that they sense that voting, these locked-in things that everyone thinks it'll be yes, sometimes turns on their fucking head. We're in the era of that at the moment, where it's almost what I would call spiteful voting from some people, just to fucking throw a spanner into the cogs of the fucking system, you know, which is fucked. But I would say that that's maybe one step away from where some people get to, is just like political nihilism, where you realise the whole fucking system shit. It's always just flipping between these two parties. Nothing really changes, blah, 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 blah. Maybe one of the last death throes before you get all the way there is fucking, you know, voting like a no on something that because, and maybe it was something that you just didn't care about, you just wouldn't have voted. And that's what's scary about non-compulsory voting, is that, you know, you can all of a sudden have this swell of people that traditionally just didn't vote in that shit. But then all of a sudden they come out of the woodwork, they're rallied by some cause.
Isn't it, I think, you know, I suppose you could see it both ways, but, you know, that is the system that is, you know, this is part of the system that it is the system that we use. and in the democratic
democracy, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
But I suppose
we need a benevolent dictator.
But I think you do have to kind of go on the greater sum of people, and if that's how our culture is, where it's so outdated, then we just need to evolve more. And it's a sad reflection on us.
Yeah, but it's weird though. The greater sum of people.
It's pretty lame if this doesn't go through.
Yeah, it's pretty shit.
Lame.
The
fucking really.
Yeah, but the flaw of that is like that some dude in the middle of fucking hick town, all the way outside the country, gets to have a say in whether fucking Joe and Tom in fucking inner city Melbourne can get married. Like, what a weird,
isn't it? But
thing.
That's the system. That's how it works, man.
Yeah.
That's the game in which that's the mechanism for it to physically work.
If you want, his opinion's just as valid as the other.
And that's one of my original points. Like, don't we need to exercise democracy now and then?
Yeah,
isn't this actually one of the core parts of it is asking questions directly to people? But it's just weird that question will affect people one on one. It's not like electing a leader. It's not like should we ban guns. It's fucking should two people of same sex be allowed to get married in the eyes of the law? Like that's a weird question trivial. To ask nationally.
Isn't it pretty trivial? I find it trivial. I understand why it's so my closing thing with it anyway is I understand why it's a big deal for people who oppose it, and obviously I understand why it is a big deal, and I agree it is a big deal for people who are same sex relationship and want to get married for these legal reasons, for wills and whatever. And
not just for that, just for the fact that they want to do what everyone else does at that age.
Of course, but I mean, I think the thing is that, like, in my opinion, or my outlook on that would be, I like to think that if you could just get some sort of civil unionship which gave you the exact same rights as marriage, why wouldn't everyone just go, fuck marriage, it's a religious thing anyway, that's just so uncool, that's just fucking...
Yeah, I will agree with that.
If that was available,
personally, but...
if that was available, me and my wife probably, would have been like, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Like, protest the whole marriage thing. If we had the same rights that way. Like, why, what? But that's the thing, it's...
Yeah.
I think I got off track of I think.
I hope that yes, very good.
Yeah.
Then what are they going to do with that info? Are they going to just fucking balk on it?
That's the interesting thing. They won't just balk on it. They'll have to do something. But what they do is still undetermined. How quickly it'll happen, who knows?
It's important for a lot of people, and I hope it goes through.
One last thing we'll talk about, just while we're on the political shit, is like, what's the story with Barnaby Joyce? This is our fucking deputy prime minister, isn't it? That's now known. He's now this second not that.
There's a bunch of people.
He's ineligible.
Yeah, I know a few got ousted, but he got gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's full on, man. Like, so he was a New Zealander, yeah.
Was it dual citizen?
It's really complicated, man. It's really complicated, and it's not like clear cut. And it's like he was father was New Zealand or something. He's Australian, man. He's Australian, and somehow he's got a citizenship from New Zealand as well. And you can't have both. You've just got to have Australia. It's like a technicality type thing, and. Yeah, he's ineligible.
That's pretty full on, man.
So he has to get rid of that citizenship now. I think he can renounce it or something.
I thought that he can't come back at all.
He's already announced an election or something. He's going to run in a by-election or something. So he must be able to, I don't know, renounce it or something.
And then come back, but he'll have to be voted in again.
He'll have to be voted in again. Because that election, the last election, was null and void. Because during that election, he had dual citizenship.
Right.
Yeah. And there was two of them that they were like, you're sweet. And it was another one of the Nationals dudes, I think. And I can't remember the other one.
Oh, hey guys, fucking... I'm going to just hijack this. So, let me just say what I'm about to say, right? Don't fucking run with this. I need to just define the acronym first to shut the fuck up, right? When I want to talk about, this word's going to come up. I just want to put it out there first. I was flying the other night, flying back from Perth, and I saw something, and I saw something in the air which I didn't know what it was. So in essence,
wait. You're on a plane.
Yes,
you're on a plane.
Yeah,
right.
but just first.
Okay.
I saw a UFO because it was
Right.
unidentified and it appeared to be flying, or it might have been a reflection that was just somehow looked like it wasn't. I don't know, but like it was something. So I didn't know what it was. That's if I say UFO, if I say those words, I don't necessarily mean.
Aliens.
Or,
you mean it in the
anything
true
like
sense of
that.
the acronym, an unidentified flying
like
object.
What the fuck? But it was just
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm flying back from Perth the other night, and I've been flying a lot. I've been flying back, Perth like a few times, or just in a few weeks, and gone to Queensland and everywhere. And we were flying back, and we're getting closer to Sydney. But outside, like, I thought the weather was going to be really bad in Sydney, and it kind of was, but. Just outside of Sydney, just like a few hours out, like an hour out on a plane wise, it wasn't cloudy at all. So we're coming up, and we came down past Wollongong, down through Wollongong, and then I was looking out, and I just saw what appeared to be like a reflection in the window. So I'm in the seat in the plane, and there's the window here, and I'm looking out, and I see like something moving, like a light moving like this. It's as if like someone's got like a laser pointer or a phone and they're reflecting it off with the window I'm looking at. So I look around and everyone's asleep. It's like late at night and there's no real movement and stuff like that. And then so I look back and I see it again and it looks like it's flashing or spinning and I'm just like fucking tripping out at this point. This is when I realised, fuck, that's actually something out there. What the fuck is that? What was weird about it was... Like it was the way it moved, man. Like it was really far away, but the way how fast it moved. Like I was just watching it kind of spin, and then it'd go and just like zigzag and do this little weird pattern or something, and it'd go back, and it wouldn't hover steady. It'd hover as if like it had like gravity forever changing, and it was like, and you're playing a video game, and you're trying to fly a plane, and the gravity kept changing, and it was all weird. Like, I don't know, but it was just. The way it was hovering was just super strange, and then it just went really fast, and then just went what looked like down, and it went really quick, like just took off, and then a few seconds later it just came back up, and then just like started like flashing it or spinning as if one side of it had a light, and you could almost think someone could make this with a laser somehow, or. I don't know what it was, man, but it was just strange.
Right,
and then
can I start asking questions yet?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
It was so retarded. And just one last thing. I was always I never like said like, no, fuck UFOs, I don't think they exist. I don't think I was ever anti-UFO or whatever. But I was never like, put too much weight behind it at all at the same time, you know what I mean? So if I had known the other day that I'd be telling this story, I'd be like, get fucked, no way.
Yeah.
That'd have to be pretty drastic to bring me around.
Yeah.
But like I saw something strange that like freaked me out.
Okay.
I see it.
All right. So questions. You say that you saw it as a dot. Did you ever see it more than a dot? You said that there was one point where it was like strobing or something, or like that had a light on its side.
It's as if like the inside of the palm of my hand had a light, and I'm going like that, and it was detached and just kept spinning around with the palm always facing in. If you were looking at that from a distance, you'd see it slowly fade as it spins, and then it slowly fade back in as it starts to turn around. Is that a retarded way to explain that?
No.
You know what I mean?
Sense,
So as if they had like a light pointing in as it was spinning.
Yeah.
And but it was quite far away. But that's just how I could. But when you haven't really seen something before.
Did you see any kind of size of craft?
No,
it was just this dot
light.
kind of thing.
I'm not even a light.
Okay, I'm not doubting your story. I'm not trying to be.
It was bright, man. It was bright.
Negative Nelly, but
no, don't. It's fine. It's retarded, dude. I know.
Would it be possible that would be an unmanned drone-esque?
No way.
Craft.
Not a fucking chance.
No way. Why no way?
Because if there's a technology that exists that allows something to accelerate and stop that fast and move around like that so controlled, my mind will be fucking blown away.
Okay, well, I watched this documentary the other day on Vice that's about this chick who's dominating the indoor drone racing circuit.
Indoor drone racing's tang, man.
Man, it is hectic.
It's full on.
They fully hook up stuff in like underground car parks and stuff, and like all of these like LED lined hoops and stuff that you got to fly through. But the whole thing is broadcast live to the helmet of the drone pilot, and like, man, you look at the footage that they're now able to fly these, like, they are quick and they go from woe to go so fast. And the only reason I bring this up is when you see them move like that, like, and then you sort of move that up to like military grade. Are you telling me that that light movement that you saw is still without fathomably done by a human? It's really alien technology. There's no way we figured that shit out.
Not at all. I never said anything about it.
I know, but it didn't look like that's something that's possible that you've seen before. Is what you were saying.
It's just not something that it's not technology I was aware of. I like to think that I've electrician and just studied electronics, and I'm kind of I like to think I'm a techie dude, and I like to know I know about some shit. Well, the way that whatever this was moving, if I'm just to imagine a drone, like, if you draw a comparison to a plane like a 747 when it's flying overhead, right? Mm-hmm. It's far away, okay? Yeah. So how fast is it really moving relative to where you're standing? It's not really. It's slow, yeah? And that thing is going like 2,500 kilometers an hour. That thing's fucking going quick, super quick. So when you see something take off to go about 20, 30, 40 times faster, like, this thing was just like...
But this is why you're not having... It has
to have been a laser or something.
Yeah, maybe.
It couldn't have been a drone or something. It was
but you not having reference of the size of this craft is the problem here. That I know that the naysayers that are trying to pick this apart and give it a plausible explanation, they'd be like, well, if it's just a single dot red light source,
but then there was
like, how are you making a judgment just how far away this thing is from you? Like you're saying that the scale of a 747 example that you were giving, well, that's a fucking long way from you. And you're saying that you're able to judge that this light is that far away as a 747.
But what I can confirm without a doubt was whatever this thing was, whatever, when it went behind the wing, I couldn't see it. So it was like at least further out than what the plane was.
Yeah.
But like it appeared to me, and how I was interpreting it, that was like very far out.
Yeah.
But it moved as if it was a laser.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. But I just don't know what it was bouncing a laser off, because it was just open skies at the time.
Yeah, right. It'd be interesting to...
I watched it for a long time, man. About 7, 8 minutes. Like, I was watching it for a while.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's pretty long.
Dude, and I couldn't get photos, like, because I was trying to put the camera out, and you could just... It's too far out.
What'd be interesting is to try and figure out the flight trajectory of your flight at the time that you did it.
4 cans on it.
And just try and figure out what area you would have been. Because, like, if you were watching it for a good 7, 8 minutes, that's quite a large flight area.
But
trying to figure out if there's any Air Force or military
it was
owned training areas around that way.
I don't think it was over the land. It was
like,
so
when
far
you say
away.
it was very far away, it was very
like
far away as in terms on the horizon or into the air above you?
Both. So when it went down, and then what looked like someone just shining a laser of something, it just went up really quick. It went like super high, like many times higher than what the plane was, and we were like cruising off, like, we were still pretty high.
Yeah, that's pretty trippy, man.
I know, and I'm never one to, like, I would never come out and say, like, I'm always, to be perfectly honest, I'm scared to be judged about something like this. I would never, not even, like, it's not something that I would, I think, like, I sound like a fuckwit even saying this, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But that's what, I don't know, but it looked like a laser or something, but then, then there was 2 and they were dancing a bit, and then as we started turning and kind of moving away, and then we eventually went into clouds. We got into Sydney, and then I just couldn't.
It might, how to say it might be a laser or something. It's probably a laser.
I just say that because I can't think of anything else moving that quick.
Yeah, well, that's probably a laser or something then.
Yeah, that's why I think.
But it's like reflecting off ice crystals or some shit. I don't fucking know. But I bet you, I'm not doubting what you've seen, because I've seen shit like that before, but I always brush it off as like there's going to be a rational
For
explanation.
sure there
for
is,
this.
and I would think that, but I think a drone
Or an experimental craft, or
no, man, not. Well, then it defies all kind of physics and stuff as I know it. I think anything that would move and stop that quick would break apart. Like it would.
Could you see the form of a craft?
No, that's the thing.
It was just a light.
That's why I don't think it was a craft. Like you're saying craft. That's why I don't think it was a craft.
Yeah, it might have been just a laser or something.
But like, what was it bouncing off?
Yeah, good
It's
question.
stupid, man. That's what I mean. It was so strange. There was
Maybe
a guy
it's a
next to
new
me.
type of fucking laser being tested by the Australian military.
There was a guy next to me, right, and he had like his headphones on. I said, "Hey, I haven't spoken to him the whole trip back from Perth. We haven't even
He's gonna
crossed
think
here, haven't
you're-
passed each other or anything, or nothing. Just fucking head down." And I said, "Hey, man," he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Can you just tell me if I'm seeing things here or something?"
Yeah.
And he looked at me really, really puzzled. And I just leaned back. I said, look up there, man." And he was his telly was like, "What the fuck?" And then this is what makes me doubt the whole thing. Maybe I was tripping or something, right? Because he looked over and he goes, "Oh, what the fuck?" And I went, "Yeah," like, and he goes, "Wow, look how it's moving," or something about how it was moving. I went, "I know, isn't it really strange, man?" And he's kind of looked back a bit and done like what I did and like trying to piece it what's happening here.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Man," he goes, "You don't see that every day." And we're kind of just looking at it for maybe a minute or two, which is a long time.
Yeah.
Him leaning over, we're both looking at it. Two strangers, like,
So you got a witness as well, man.
dude. But then
corroborating
this
your
is
witness.
this fucking strange. And then he leant back over and goes, "Man, I've never seen that. You don't see that every day. That's crazy."
Yeah.
He thought you were a fucking loony.
You reckon?
I
You reckon he
reckon,
thought I was a
yeah.
loon? He just headphones back in. And
You
it
don't
was
see
just
that every
cold,
day. I'm
dead
not
to
going
me.
to look at it
We didn't
anymore.
speak again the rest of the thing. You know? But dude, he was looking, like, I knew he could see it because he commented. Like, I knew he described what I was seeing. Like, you know, I just said, "Am I seeing things?" And I didn't lead him. I was
What
just
did you
like,
want though? Did you want him to now be your buddy? Like
No,
we've shared in
no.
this.
But I just, like, if that was me, like, cause he looked like, yeah, I don't know, I suppose that's it as well. I don't know what I expected, but he just looked like pretty blasé about it, man.
Come on, man. We're going
It just
down
made
to
me
see
think
Mulder
I'm
and
crazy.
Scully
You know what I
together.
found out the other day?
What?
I found out that those Apple EarPods. Have you got them?
No, fuck that.
No. Oh, fuck that. Okay.
You're gonna lose them.
Shit.
Spence too.
If one of them comes out, it automatically pauses the music. So maybe it was just like, "Oh yeah, oh wow, look at that," and then straight back into his.
Maybe.
What would he been listening to? By the looks of him, Pete, what was he listening to?
Oh man, yeah, he would have had like Matchbox 20. Or
Some
like
buble.
some pretty middle
Sorry
of the
about
road
the attitude.
fucking-
Yeah, well, we don't know.
It's just 3 a.m. I must be lonely. Dun, dun. But yeah, anyway, so it was just strange, and that's what happened. I know that I sound like a full weird fuck. But dude, that, like, guys, people, that's what happened.
Look, I'll
I
say
don't know what it was.
I'll say two things. One, I think that most of the cases of people seeing UFO stuff or stuff they can't explain is a combination of advanced military testing of something, combined with they actually aren't an expert in the field of being able to make judgment calls of speed and trajectories and how far things are away. It
Totally.
always seems to come from people that are like,
Yeah,
no
totally.
offense, it's a
No,
story.
dude, it's totally true, and I know this. Like, I'm like, what the fuck do I know? Like,
And it's sometimes
totally.
when you get some of the footage that everyone's like, look at this, explain this. An actual aviation expert explains it completely logically. Like that for me was like chemtrails nail in the coffin. Like for the little while that I watched that "What in the World Are They Spraying" doco or whatever, you know. And I actually spoke to a pilot. They're like, it's completely normal. Like it's fucking ice particles and all. You know,
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
Condensation. It's-
Condensation, all
If you
that.
understand that can of Coke on a hot day sweating, cold can of Coke sweating on a hot day.
And most of the things that I think are seen as like UFO craft are probably just advanced military tech. And when you look at like the money in that industry, it's obvious that they're going to be testing really weird out there shit to be the next person that comes up with whatever is the multi-billion selling weapon, you know. So I don't think it's unfathomable to use Occam's razor to slice this down to what people see as actually human-made. And the other point that I would make, the second point I would make is, like, so if that is a UFO, what's it doing? Like, you know, just flying around over Perth?
No, it was over around...
Just extrapolate the thoughts forward of, okay, that doesn't look like something that humans could do. So what is it? It's something unearthly? Is it got somebody in it?
Maybe it's a natural phenomenon of some particles.
Maybe.
Sprites.
Of something, of like ions from a sunflower. I don't know, man. I know fuck all. I don't know.
Yeah.
It probably is something like that.
No.
It's probably some scientific shit. I'm sure it is.
No. Sprites, there's this phenomenon of like orbs of light appearing, and there's this whole fucking conspiracy that it's like fucking time travelers communicating, and that they fucking appear in photographs.
Oh yeah.
In certain places, and that fucking yeah.
Sick. Fuck yeah.
Jesus.
But yeah, like the other point is that, like, I think that, like, a lot of people accuse me of being a bit sort of like I guess nihilistic or pessimistic in having this viewpoint, but I honestly think within the observable universe that we live in, we are by far the most advanced life form. By far. And it's actually really early days in the history of time. And we're just like, we think that we're evolved and this is as far as we're going to evolve. I truly believe that humans are the start of the entire universe seed. And that we should be going out and, like, propagating, like, this. That's why it feels like this shit is fucking kind of falling apart. It's because I think we should have already advanced from just being on this planet by now, and that we're actually the organic seed that starts all of life in the universe. Like, there's nothing out there. All of these fucking radio telescopes, all of the probes we send out there, they're just all dead motherfucking planets. It's a fucking fluke that the Earth is what it is, and that it's got the conditions for life.
Some would could argue otherwise anyway, because of how far away they are. We're observing them super far back in time, to the point where even if you were,
but I know what you're saying. But how is that usable to us right now?
No, it's not.
Like,
so
maybe what you just said is future humans looking back. Maybe the aliens are actually future humans, and because we're looking at such a far back point in time, you know what I mean? Maybe we're actually meant to fulfill that time loop by fucking propagating outward, and then being the people that we're looking back. You know what I mean? Like, I truly believe that when people talk about aliens and stuff, like, number one, I ask, why are they here? Are they just checking us out? Are they flying around and showing off their acrobatic aircraft skills? Or are they doing some kind of observance? Like, there would be communications.
What would we look like if you were scanning the skies from another galaxy or whatever? This is a ridiculous thing to ask, but like, well, how would you see us? I don't think you'd even notice us, because if you're that far away, then anything that we've ever transmitted hasn't got there yet.
Yeah,
you know, if from the laws of physics and how we know things to be for how it is for us, and our reality and how we interpret things, like, you know, like if we abide by those laws, which, as we live in those laws, and I think for the most part we do all abide by these laws and agree in agreement, then if you agree to that, then if something is that far away, we wouldn't see anything happening there, and they wouldn't see anything happening with us, because we've only really evolved past just animals on the ground.
Yeah. But you're talking about us looking through fucking massive telescopes over vast distances, and that's different to us being visited in our over Perth.
Yeah, totally. But what you said was that we could have been like your first thing, not your second one about the time thing, but that we were the most advanced race in the universe. So if we were, we at the moment aren't teleporting and doing shit like that. So if we're the most advanced, would we expect that someone else is doing that? We wouldn't, because we're not teleporting around. Like that.
So they'd have to be older than us, and therefore,
or maybe not even older, maybe just smarter,
more advanced.
Maybe there is nothing, maybe we are the only ones, but I think that we would never really know in our lifetime, in my opinion.
Well, one of the other theories is that this, like society thing has happened on other planets, but it collapses every time. And what we're looking at is actually, and that's where the whole there's monuments on Mars and the moon and shit theories come from, is that maybe they actually had thriving societies, but they never got to the point that we got to where we could figure out interplanetary travel and actually knowing things like our sun has got a 4.3 billion fucking lifespan, and that someday it's actually going to supernova and fucking all of this shit's going to fucking black hole into something. And if in that time we don't figure it out, like we're one of the only species that knows mortality. We know what our own mortality is, and we know the ramifications of that. And I think that, we are the most advanced version of life. It's certainly in the most useful slice of the universe. Maybe way out there, like fucking eons through time and space. That theory of like, you know, infinity is so big that there's actually replications of the Earth everywhere, and that there's another version of you and me having this conversation.
Maybe there's not. Maybe we're just an insignificant particle, man, in the grander scheme of things. Our whole existence, everything we can observe is a particle. Or inside of an atom of part, like a fucking water pump for some.
Like the Simpsons episode where she sparks a tooth and creates life.
Yeah. Shit, like, really, do you know what I mean? Like, this is the thing. Like, we don't fucking know. Like, I doubt it, but we don't really know. And like, things get turned on their head, and I think we've got a long way to go. I don't think we've figured shit out. We're still all fighting amongst each other about ideas that aren't even our own ideas. Like all of people's religious ideas aren't even their own fucking ideas. They're passed on to them from thousands of years ago when it might have had a purpose. Yeah. And we're still fighting and bombing and like weird. I think we've got a while to go.
The Postal surveying on same-sex marriage.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think we're the most. If there are other things, then I can't imagine that we would be the most advanced.
I still think we're the most advanced, but I do think
clever,
that,
but we're not super evolved. We're pretty fucking.
Like, put it this way: what happens if, like, next week, right? All of the government leaders come on TV, and they're like, "That's it. We're keeping it from you, but we can't anymore. There's a goddamn meteorite coming to Earth. It's going to hit in the next 2 years. We've tried everything, and we just can't move it. We can't do anything about it. It's gonna just obliviate any livable space on this planet. That's it. We're done." And like, then you got to look back on, like you say, on all of the wars, all of the bullshit, all of the fucking, you know, religious fucking crusading and all of that shit, and realize, man, fucking, we should have been concentrating on things like fucking figuring out how to fucking colonize the rest of the fucking solar system, you know, because that's a reality that could happen. Like, we could fucking lose.
So what's the end game of that? What's the purpose of colonizing the rest of the solar system? Is that something that we want? We might evolve.
Fuck yeah!
But we might evolve past a point where it's like it's beyond that, where it's like full zen, where it's like, no, we have
there's
a life
media
cycle.
coming. That's
we have a place, and death is part of the cycle.
No.
Dude, like you know what I mean? Like,
no.
You know, maybe all of humanity we might evolve. I think we're going to evolve way past anything that we can even contemplate. Like, I think that we're super. I think we're clever, and you know, I don't think we're ridiculous or anything.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be one of those fucking idiots that want to go on the first man trip to Mars. But I do have a level of respect for somebody that will do that, because I do think it pushes the envelope. And it's kind of like the first like idiots that tried to bloody cross the Arctic. You know, wasn't very wise back then, but it kind of did push humanity forward and figured out our understanding of things better and all of those things. So yeah, oh well.
It's crazy, but yeah. There you go. So I'm one of those crazy hicks on those UFO documentaries that you watch when you're a kid late night telly. And I saw the light and it went up and did this flashy thing.
I was out picking my sorghum. And
I'm not saying that aliens came down here.
You know what it is? Why? Yeah, that's what it is. It's fucking hickey farmers that are always the ones that see him. Yeah. And he's been going out to these fucking Hicksville farms all the time, and it's like, it must be something in their water supply.
Something in their grain.
Yeah, and they start seeing like fucking red dots flying around in the sky.
They're not detecting the crazy.
And that dude was just worried that if he goes like, man, I can't see anything. That's why he like fully leaned over you for like a minute. It's like, look at it, move, whoa, and then he's like, I think I've given him enough.
Yep. Maybe you won't stab me now.
I'm open to that. That's what could have happened, and I hope it didn't, because then I just feel like a crazy person. But man, I know I'm quite sure he saw it. His reaction initially was just like, whoa.
All right,
Yeah. There you go.
let's call it.
Yeah.
That was a good podcast. Thanks for
GG.
joining us again, PeSauce.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and we'll try and keep them all regular.
Yeah. Oh, we say that every time.
Yeah.
No, thanks again for listening, everyone. And we'll be back with episode 20.
Yeah.